Hello, Illumineers! Welcome to Let's Talk Lorcana, your weekly Monday Lorcana live show. My name is Brandon, also known as B-Squared24. I'm one of the co-hosts for the show every week, and I'm also joined by both Liam and Aaron this time from the Illumineers, your hosts.
Hey!
I'm so excited to be here at the start of the show. Let me tell you, I have missed the start of the show for like 3 or 4 weeks, I feel like. So what do we do at the beginning of the show nowadays?
I know it's weird now. Yeah, look at that. Just hi to everybody in the first. We usually do this last, but hi to everybody in the chat. Everybody's saying hello tonight. We have Eddie from Toronto, Canada. Plenty of people from Dallas for some reason.
Gee whiz, why would people from Dallas be interested in tonight's show, Liam?
I don't know. We even have Fairy Queen Mab on Twitch. One viewer on there. Hopefully more will come. So
hey Twitch.
Thanks. Hey, Twitch. Yeah, it's Bobby Break says it's like I saw you all yesterday. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So, Brandon, how has your last 24 hours been?
It's been good. It's been tiring a little bit. This weekend was the Hunter Burton Memorial Lorcana Championship, I think is what they call it, which was a tournament over in Dallas that I wasn't able to go to last year, but was able to go to this year. And you guys were there too, along with some other really great Lorcanity community members. So I was super excited to be able to participate in that this year. It's been a really long time since I've competed. So that was super fun, but I'm a little bit playing recovery catch up from this weekend. So how about you guys?
I mean, it was a really fun weekend. I think, what I enjoyed about it was, as we go to these Lorcana events and tournaments and travel, like we start to see the same people over and over again. And it really felt a bit like a reunion. Especially having you there. It was really so nice. Fun. For anybody who missed the stream, Brandon on day 2 got to join us on stream and cast and commentate for a little bit, which was it was so fun and refreshing. Who were some of the other names that you all saw at the tournament here that people might recognize?
Well, I went with Mo Shamblin and Mandy Shamblin. Mo being a world's qualifier, stayed with them. We ended up taking the same deck, which was fun. Zan Syed was there. Aaron Rubin was there. Lorcana Bro. Bobby Break in the chat was there.
Lorcanakid's in the chat, and we're going to talk to him later tonight. Gosh, who else was there? I feel like it was a little bit of like a who's who of the Lorcana world, but maybe I'm just remembering people who were there from Hunter Burton last year. It was so great to see the whole Incredibles team come out to that event because it is their home turf. So we got to see a lot of those amazing competitive players. And then 20 Lore Pro. Ran the tournament, ran the stream. We got to see everybody on the 20 Lore Pro team, which was absolutely incredible. They're so welcoming and inviting and warm with the tournaments that they run. So that was wonderful to get to spend time with Sir Ashtown and Rob from 20 Lore Pro and the whole team there. So, it was a great event. We had, so last year we had about 40-ish players at the Hunter Burton Memorial. This year, we went into the day with 68, if I remember correctly, which is so exciting. Liam and I went and checked in on things early Saturday morning. We were at 50. So we went from 50 to 68 in like 5 to 6 hours. We're kind of outgrowing the space that the tournament is being held in, which is great. Hopefully we'll have even more folks next year. It's such an amazing cause. Just in case you don't know, the tournament is in memoriam of a Magic player named Hunter Burton who lost his life to struggles with suicide. And so this event has been going on for about 11 years to raise funds and awareness about suicide prevention in the 988 hotline. Lorcana is in its second year. And so that event and family is growing rapidly, and it's just so wonderful to see. And just an amazing event.
I really appreciated Stunning Rob from 20 Lore gave at the a speech for the players meeting, or was for the players meeting, and talked a lot about Hunter Burton and how, you know, he knew Hunter Burton, rode in cars with him to different Magic Pro Tours and things like that.
Yeah.
This was obviously much longer before Lorcana came along. But one thing that really stuck out to me is he said, you know, he knew Hunter Burton and he thought that he would have been, that he would have loved Lorcana and he would have been there, you know, playing it with us because he loved those games and loved the gaming community, which I don't know, just like felt really special. Just sort of in memoriam of Hunter Burton, and also, like you mentioned, for the great cause to try to prevent suicide and just do the whole suicide awareness thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I had an opportunity on Saturday, I think, to interview the director of charity operations for Hunter Burton Memorial, and he is actually the owner of Hunter's LGS that he played at and came up through. And after Hunter passed away, Hunter's family kind of came to the Magic and the gaming community and had this idea. And this gentleman, his name is Aaron, also spelled Erin. I was like, yes, the right way. Anyway, just jumped 2 feet in and became the director of charity operations. You know, the whole organization is volunteer run. They apparently send out these kits to LGSs if you request them about supporting mental health services and suicide prevention at your LGS. You just have to go on their website and like request them. So if that's something that you think your LGS can benefit from, go onto the Hunter Burton Foundation website and request a kit, and they'll send them to your LGS for free, which I thought was a really amazing thing to provide. And he just talked about like the importance that we have within the TCG community, and how we have this opportunity because the game we play is such kind of like an intimate moment where you sit across from someone for an hour and play this card game, that we really are in a position to really make a difference with this issue. And so, yeah, anyway, sorry, I just went on a tangent, but I just thought that was just so impactful. And I think that all of us can like make a difference in someone's life. So
yeah, I agree. It's a fun competitive event, but it has a very fun or very relaxed vibe around it. It's one of the more unique events I've been to in the Lorcana space.
There aren't many events that allow like 2 toddlers to run rampant throughout the competition space. And you had not only our daughter Olena, but Mo and Mandy Shamlin's daughter was running around with her, like both of them causing havoc and getting to know players and the like. So it's such a family atmosphere. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk more. We're actually talking about this event most of tonight. I know there was some other Lorcana events going on. There was an invitational with a lot of players. I think if Forbidden Mountains tally is correct, there were like 5 big events they pulled from. But I think we're going to focus mostly on this event because it had a great mix of newer players, younger players, and some hyper competitive players with some really interesting decks. We're going to have some folks from the tournament who did very well join us, and we're very excited to talk to them. And we have some spicy deck lists to share with you all as well throughout the show. So if you have any questions for us or our guests about Hunter Burton or thoughts on the meta, etc., feel free to ask in the chat. As you can see, we like to highlight your comments throughout the night. So feel free,
especially when they're complimenting Liam's brand new hat.
Yeah. Look, if you're a team and you have merch, let us know.
Especially if that merch is a bucket hat, just send it right on over to Louisiana.
If you have bucket hats, let me know. I'll buy them.
We'll wear them on stream. We're right here. I see ink thieves. I'm looking at you in the chat here. Send me your merch. Send me to your merch shop. Anyway, so the other thing we're doing, by the way, for those who remember, last week we had Stephanie Shaw on, the artist behind Lorcana Goat. She was doing a limited run of sketched and signed goats, and they dropped on Tuesday. Out of 30 first sketch, there's one left. That price is not accurate. I think that price has gone up a little bit, but there's one sketch slot left. But it went so well. Stephanie asked us to give away another one of her signed goats here on stream. So in a little bit, actually, and after I'm done chatting here, I'm going to pull it up and I'll drop a link into the chat to a Google form where you all can register for that giveaway, and we'll do that drawing before the end of the show. But it won't be for the sketch. It'll be for a signed goat, but that'll come straight to you from Stephanie in Canada, courtesy of Stephanie Shaw. So I'll send that link out here shortly. But again, if you're interested in that sketch, there's only one left, but plenty of signed goats available. Yeah, Brendan, before, we have a bunch of guests to bring on. Before we do that, I really want to hear, because you got to play.
I did get to play.
You get to play in big events very often because you're usually doing this.
Yeah.
I want to hear about your experience, and I want to hear a bit about your deck.
Sure. Well, first of all, the experience was great. This was really my second only time to compete in what I would consider like a fairly sized Disney Lorcana tournament. The last time I did it was at Miami TCG Con like 2 years ago, which was, I think it was like the first large Lorcana tournament in the States, back in set 1. That was not a super great experience, not because of anything Miami TCG Con did. I was like really sick that morning and also like super nervous to be in my first large tournament. So that one didn't go too well. This one I was so comfortable in. Everybody was super nice. The atmosphere was amazing. I didn't do as well as I wanted to. Obviously, I wish I could have performed a little bit better. But even after sort of not performing as well as I wanted on day 1, I still felt great. Like, it was still super fun to be hanging around so many people. I knew I could walk around and still watch people play. All the competitors that were there were super nice and encouraging as well. So yeah, ultimately it was pretty good. I did end up bringing kind of a spicy list. I have to shout out Mo Shamblin, because he's the one that essentially put me on this list. I was very I was on the fence on whether or not I wanted to go to the event, because my sister was having a birthday weekend this past weekend. I knew it would be a little bit of a trip. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it, and a couple friends all encouraged me to go. And I'm like, I'm not going to have time to, test around with all the new cards and come up with something myself. And so Mo offered to just kind of show this deck to me and test with me for a week or two. But we brought Emerald Sapphire Bleen is what we've been calling it. It's essentially an Ink Geyser deck. I can talk about it. Okay, yeah. So we have the deck list up here. I think this is actually a super interesting deck. Mo showcased it on the LCCC right before the event. We play tested this deck a lot into the Sapphire-Steel items deck, as well as Ruby Sapphire, because that's what we were expecting to see most of at the event, especially after Zan had done so well with the items deck. And the deck performed really well into both of those. Unfortunately for us, between the two of us, we only saw like one meta deck, essentially. In round 1, I played a Ruby Sapphire player that was basically on just like Ruby Sapphire items, and was able to take that round. Mo played against one Sapphire-Steel deck, but it wasn't like an items version. It was playing Ward Aerials. But I love this deck. It's been so fun playing it. The concept is to essentially establish muses, establish a McDuck Manor and potentially Sapphire Coil, or basically establish muses in a threat through Clarabelle or McDuck Manor, and then Ink Geyser your opponent back to 3 ink. And if you can do that, there's very little that most of the decks in the format can do against something like a McDuck Manor, as long as you have control of the board. And then at that point, you just kind of use songs and the other characters that you have in play to sing those songs to bounce characters back to the opponent's hand, using cards like You're Welcome to get rid of locations and items, putting extra cards in your opponent's hand. And of course, if you establish a Clarabelle, you're drawing a bunch of extra cards. It is not a fun deck to play against. It is very much like, once I get this established, I'm not going to let you do anything for the rest of the game, and just let these McDuck Manors like continue to tick up and up and up. And so one of the issues that we ran into was aggro this weekend. There was a ton of aggro. I had won round 1 against Ruby Sapphire player, immediately paired round 2 into a very aggressive Amethyst-Steel player. I lost the die roll on that. And just kind of got out aggroed throughout the daisies. Game 2, I mulliganed really hard for muses. Didn't find a single muse. I actually don't even know that I found. Oh no, that was in a different game. But anyway, couldn't find muses to establish and slow them down. So I lost to that one. Bobby Break mentioned in the chat there was a Amethyst Sapphire player that I played in round 3 who had a really interesting, pretty aggressive ward deck, which of course kind of turns the muses off because I can't choose any of their stuff. And those were some really close, really good games. That was really fun, but got out aggroed there. And then in round 4, I was paired into a Churnadog deck. Shout out to Katie for coining that name. And they just kind of rolled me. I lost the die roll on that one as well, so I wasn't prepared in the first game. Second game, I was able to establish, I think, 2 muses at one point, and then dug 11 or 12 songs deep, and never found a song. Like, just could not find songs to bounce his characters back to his hand. So, kind of an unfortunate matchup. I genuinely believe that, like, had we paired into the stuff that we had prepared for, we would have done a little bit better. Mo did end up making it to day 2. He didn't make it all, into top 8 or top 16 or anything. Ended up conceding early. I didn't make it into day 2, but it was still super fun to play. I'd still play the deck. I still plan on working on the deck with Mo. I think there's definitely something here. There's a lot of people that don't believe in Ink Geyser, but I've played it enough to know that it works, especially into the more control versions of the deck. So I'm eager to see sort of where we go with it.
Yeah, it's a really, I don't know, it's a fun list because it's doing something very different than a lot of other decks in the format. I really wanted to see it in the top 8. I actually didn't get to see the deck that we requested to bring Mo on camera, and it didn't go well. And I was kind of bummed because I really wanted it to represent well. But this is definitely a list that could that you could do well with at set champs and in your league. You have to learn to pilot it right. I really enjoyed seeing you all pilot this because it's different. Even though it's miserable to play against. I think I walked back and saw you and Mandy testing at one point, and you had each of you had like 23 cards in hand.
Yeah, there's some very degenerate like mirror match games. I believe Mo and I played. We were testing a lot Friday night, and there was one game where both of us had like 30 cards in our hand. Like there were more cards in hand than there were in our deck inkwell or discard. And it can be like overwhelming at first. When he first showed me the deck, I'm like, there's so many decision trees here. How do you know what to do? The more I played the deck, the more you start realizing sort of what is priority and like what things you can keep, what your game plan is for the rest of the for the day. But that was also part of the strategy of the deck, right? We wanted to bring it, and then we knew it was going to play well into Ruby Sapphire. It did well into the one Ruby Sapphire player that I played against. And it just kind of causes like decision fatigue for your opponent because they're not expecting it. And then you send 10 cards back to their hand from their inkwell, and they're holding 15 cards. You just drew 9, and they're like, there's nothing on my board, and I have a million cards in hand with 3 ink. What am I supposed to do? So yeah, unfortunate that it didn't do as well as it was supposed to. I don't regret bringing it. I think it was just a bit of a meta miscall on our side, not seeing as much Ruby Steel. I thought it was so funny. We had tested Under the Sea in this deck the night before because that was one of the cards that we were considering playing in this deck just to have some sort of a board wipe. And we eventually decided to take it out because we said it doesn't really help the matchups that we're worried about. Which for me was blue steel, red blue, and then Amethyst-Steel was another one of those. We were like, it just doesn't really do very much. It's kind of bricky. It's an uninkable. This is a 62 card list already, so we didn't want to add like any extras that we wanted to. And for a while, we were on a lot of even more uninkables than this because I think we're only on 14 in this list, but it was much more. And so we decided to cut Under the Sea at the very last minute because we didn't think it was necessary. And then we ended up hearing into aggro all day. And 2 of the 4 rounds that I played against, round 3, round 4, when the round finished up, my opponent goes, "Have you considered playing Under the Sea?" And I'm just like, yes, we did. We cut it. I regret it. The day would have been different had we kept it, but you win some, you lose some. I was telling people the day of that I really like the Zach Bivens mentality when it comes to this kind of thing. And it's like, sometimes you're going to scrub out. Sometimes you're going to make a wrong meta call. Sometimes it's not going to be your day. Take responsibility for what you can and move on to the next one. There's more tournaments to play in. And so I'm excited to keep playing.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it was a really fun call. I really loved that you all brought it in. And yeah, I just, in a meta like this, and we're going to bring in somebody else in just a second to get their take on the meta. But as I was saying on stream, in a meta like this, where everybody going into this weekend, I think was so concerned about the item like Oswald list. It had just been dominating in the first week because it caught everybody by surprise. When there's what everybody considers like a tier 0 deck, you either play it or you plan against it. And I think everybody probably didn't have like the $700 to drop on building that deck.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people just said, right, I'm just going to play straight aggro and run under it. And so it warped the format, but it didn't pull people into the deck. It pulled people like down to the aggro route. And I think that is, and there you go. And that's, and you get run over. But I do want to bring in somebody else for a few minutes before we bring in our first tournament finisher to talk about what they saw in the meta this weekend. Excited to welcome to the stream, back to the stream, Katie from Lorekeepers in. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
You're great.
For those who are paying attention this weekend, we had the main stream coming out of the building up in Dallas, and then 20 Lore Pro had a second stream going where they were piping out another feature table, and then Katie and Clara Sear, some amazing commentators and Lorcana talents were commenting over that. So everybody got to see 2 different Lorcana games each round. And Katie, you were there all day watching everything.
Right here.
Right there. What? I mean, thanks
in
for
that exact chair.
Yes. Did you know you can throw out your back from sitting? I do now.
But let me tell you, you have a very spiffy HD new camera.
I do. Yeah. Almost too high def, but it's still fine. But yes,
Looks
it
very
was
professional.
It was
That is
thrilling to
great.
watch because I got to, the downside of sitting and watching for 8 hours straight is, the back part. But the good side is I got to watch nonstop, and it was way different than I expected the weekend to be. You did mention affordability being an issue, maybe. I looked at the top 8 and I was convinced the meta was a certain way. I was like, wow, we're at a point where I guess you have to run blue steel. The breakdown of the top 8 at the tournament we covered, which was the Hunter Burton, it was Steel City. It was just all steel, basically. I think there was just one deck that was not steel, correct? I think. But then I looked at the Ink Invitational, and it was like a completely different tournament because there was no amber in our tournament, and yet they had several amber. But I did look, of those 2 top 8s, 81% of them had steel.
Yeah.
So it's steal your meta is what I'm calling it. I haven't worked it out yet, but anyway, it's Mr. Steal Your Meta. I don't know, but Steel is having the prettiest girl at the party time, but Ruby, only one deck had Ruby.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, not much red.
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't remember seeing much. I mean, there were a couple Ruby Sapphires, like a couple, but not a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, only one made the top 8 in the Hunter Burton Memorial Tournament. And so it was crazy to watch, very exciting. I feel like the real test is next weekend because at this point we've had 2 weekends. We've seen tech cards. There's so many fun little cards, people using them. My favorite combination is in Breen, as the kids call it, is of Sapphire Coil plus Cloud Clicker plus Under the Sea. Disgusting, but amazing. Beautiful. So it was really cool to see all that and cards. Shield of Arendelle. Who would have thought that? No one's touched that card. Everyone's going through their bulk and grabbing these cards. They're like, oh my gosh, get that. So
grab your foils now, folks.
My Bye. Sell. That was me with Oswald. Every time he missed, I'm like, sell. And then when he hit, I'm like, never mind, buy him. So
yeah. I was watching the Queens, that they worked in this weekend as well.
I spent a lot of time, or like I was researching. I even reached out to like the Maelstrom Discord and said, someone tell me why I didn't see the Queen, and now the Queen's just here again. So that was one that I got an answer if anybody needs to know.
Oh, interesting.
They just want to go through their deck. That's the answer. It's just they go through their deck so much that it's just more going through the deck, and like I guess it eventually comes back up the top again. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. We watched, we watched them as they were playtesting this, Zan and Aaron, and they worked in there primarily for the mirror. They were also thinking it was going to be very heavy blue steel because that's where things were trending. And then again, the meta just didn't shape out that way. So interesting call. But I did see, it is really fun with new sets coming out because everybody plays around with the new toys and works the new tools in. But then it's really fun to like look back and see what cards have been unleashed by these new cards. Even like set 4 Bodyguard Donald coming out.
To see him. He's running out of the field like, I'm back.
Right. Like it's set 4, I think.
Yeah.
And very little play. And then all of a sudden making a huge difference. I think I saw, a Chernodog deck take a game based on that one lore. So yeah.
Or did you see the deck with Glean?
Yeah.
People were throwing their items in the trash for 2 lore. It's just, who would have thought? But now I've been calling Sapphire the recycling color now because all it does is recycle. It's turning characters into ink. It's turning items back out of the items. It's doing lots of recycling. It's a very eco-friendly color right now.
Blue, I guess. Yeah, it's
good for the earth, bad for friendships.
I was about to say, which is so weird for me. Like in Austin, our recycling is green.
Blue.
Yeah, it's usually green, but in this case,
I'm adding that to the potential sticker. Good Sapphire, good for the earth, bad for friendships.
Yeah, it used to be Ruby, but I feel like they said, Ruby, you get nothing new ever again. And we said, okay, but I'm still convinced.
Nothing.
Good day, sir.
You have enough removal. What else do you want? You can wipe the board. So, but no, not a lot of be prepared this weekend. I was prepared and saw none.
In fact, I'm actually really excited because the winner of the Hunter Burton Memorial, I have on good authority, is a Ruby-Amethyst refugee, is what he calls himself. I'm excited to hear from him, his thoughts on that when we have him on later in the show tonight.
That's true. Let's put a pin in that thought. That's a good segue. Well, speaking of that, we should bring in our guests a little bit behind because I talk too much. But I'm really excited to welcome in our first guest here. We saw him performing very, very well, going toe-to-toe with some amazing players, taking down player after player to finish eventually in the top 4.
However, he did not get to compete against the player that he wanted to compete against the most. So we'll have to ask him about that.
But Derek definitely stood out as one of the younger players in the field, but it didn't phase him at all. And finishing in the top 4 with his Emerald-Steel discard list, which I don't hold against him. I hate that list, but anyway. Without further ado, we'll welcome in Derek, aka Lorcanakid.
Hi.
What's up?
How are you, Derek?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's great to see you again.
Yeah.
Great to see you too.
It's like less than 24 hours later, I feel like.
It really
is.
Yeah. Amazing performance this weekend. Great work.
Thank you.
So I talked a little bit about before you hopped on that you didn't get to face off in the one matchup you told me early on Sunday that you were looking forward to the most. So what matchup was that, and how did it feel that you didn't actually get to come do that?
Yeah, I was really prepared for blue steel, and I didn't play any the entire weekend.
There you go.
That's remarkable.
Everyone.
Yeah, and I was pretty bummed out because I saw Zan's record was not like as well as Zan is sometimes. He got a little unlucky sometimes on his draws today. But whenever he was going in, if he won that match, it was a pretty high chance that we would play each other. So I was like, yay, come on, Zan. And then he lost. But yeah, I was really prepared for that deck and didn't get to play it against it, which kind of stinks. But that's okay because we still did pretty well.
Yeah. It was so funny. I interviewed Derek and I was like, what match are you most excited to see? And I was thinking that he was going to just say some just absolute like off meta, deck that would never win. He's like, I want to play against Zan Syed.
Yeah.
Like,
that I'm coming for you.
I love it.
Down. That's funny. Did you get to see any of his matches, Katie?
I didn't. Well, no, I think I finally did later because all day people were like the Lorcanakid. So every match I'm like, is this the Lorcanakid? Who is the Lorcanakid? So it was the mystery of the weekend. But yeah, I think in the final, it was final. The last you were in the final four, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did get to see then, and yeah, I mean, it was. I know it's like this card not fun, but you had Heffalumps and Woozles, so I
Yes.
forgave you. I mean, if you have a Heffalump and Woozles, you gotta love it, and it helps you. I'm sure you use that card lots of times to say, "Hey, can you stop questing and getting items back for crabs and rats everywhere who love items?" Although you didn't get to
Absolutely.
if you didn't play Ruby-Steel, I guess. Or Sapphire-Steel.
Yeah. Heffalumps is really good into red blue. That like saved me all the time because they would try and play their hero in quest. And I was like, no, I don't want you to have any cards in your hand.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, we were jumping kind of right in. Let me pull up your list here because you're kind of jumping right into some.
I got so
some
excited.
fun,
I know.
some fun deck talk. So this is your list. For anybody who wants to look at these for the Hunter Burton decks, the top 8, I have the link in the show notes. I'll put them in the chat here in a second, so you can go and dig into these yourself. Copy Derek's list and go crush people and make them sad at locals. And I know a couple of you asked for Brandon's list as well. I'll post that as well into the chat. But yeah, so this is your list. And you mentioned Heffalump and Woozles like right away. It was a card. I'm not gonna lie, full disclosure, you played it on stream and I had to like.
We had no idea what it did. I was like, I know this draws a card. I don't remember what the other thing does.
So you said it briefly, but why that card?
Yeah. So I know whenever all the new cards are revealed, like because the new Tamatoa and the new Scrooge, everyone would be playing Sapphire. So that card really does counter against Sapphire when they're trying to quest with their Tamatoas or their Heroes. Or even whenever they quest with their 6-cost Tamatoa to get a free lucky dime on the board, which is really bad. So yeah, it really counters against Sapphire.
The biggest, and then that makes sense. And expecting plenty of Sapphire, there it is. So why, like broadening out, like in general, why into this expected heavy blue steel meta? Why bring this list in? Why did you think it would give you an advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that they're getting like 20 items on board, like because I saw the Zan's Metafy, and I saw how crazy it could get. So I knew that I find my Platinum was a card. So I knew I was like trying to figure out a color pairing that's not blue steel that can play that, and I found green suited that really well.
No, so I asked. We talked about this a little bit this weekend, Derek. But so, are you historically a green steel player? Did you shift to green steel because of the current meta? Like, kind of, how did you get here?
Yeah, so I've played a pretty good amount of green steel. I'm normally known for red blue though. That's my normal main deck. But I kind of switched to green steel whenever I was testing it. We did a lot of testing. But whenever I was testing it, if you got the Diablo shift, it was like really unstoppable. It was really, really hard to stop.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Katie. You go ahead.
No, I mean, it's very interesting because I mean, going into this weekend, I would not have expected to see 4 Emerald Steels in the top 8.
Yeah.
So were you surprised to see other people or tapped into that? Or did you get to play any mirror matches? Well, I know you did mirror matching your top 8. That was your first match, right?
Yeah. I played 4 mirror matches day 1. No, I played 3. Yeah, that was
Dang.
like, I was like, what in the world? Yeah, because like one was just like we both got Diablo shift, we both drew amazing, and it was just like we're both like super nervous because that was to get us into day 2. So yeah, and I was lucky I got to pull that one out.
Actually, so Derek, you mentioned this. So the tournament this weekend was actually a little bit of an interesting structure with day 1, day 2, because we didn't cut to top 8 in day 2. We continued with Swiss rounds. So we did like 4 rounds day 1. Then we continued with Swiss rounds day 2, and then we cut to top 8 in the second part of day 2. So it was a little bit of a different format, and then it was best of 3 the whole tournament. Just for the viewers who weren't there, that was kind of, we were playing best of 3 format all weekend. Sorry, Derek, I just wanted to kind of like contextualize the environment you were playing in.
Yeah.
So
I like that better whenever they changed it. I like that a lot more because it felt like I got to play more Lorcana. So that's always awesome.
That's true. That's always kind of a bummer. Like, I want to play. And day 2, you're like, okay. But no, in this case, the party kept going.
Yeah. Brandon, you had a question.
Yeah, you mentioned we did a lot of testing. I wanted to ask like how you came to this list. Who, maybe you don't have to share who you tested with necessarily, but in case you're unaware, it's really impressive for somebody of your age to do this well against all of these players. And there's a lot of interesting cards in this deck. A couple one-ofs. I see Rebecca's asking about the one Gontu. I see the one Ana. There's a couple things about this deck that I think is really interesting. So I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on how you came to the deck. Were a lot of these choices your own? Like, is this your whole 60, or is there one that you brought with a bunch of other people? Kind of share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I made this deck completely by myself. It was like 2 to 3 weeks back because we were testing a lot. I was testing with green, yellow, and the Under the Sea deck, and that just I kept drawing Under the Sea too early, and you just couldn't do anything with it. And I felt with everyone playing Sapphire, it just wasn't the best card at the time, except in the Amethyst-Steel. Maybe that would have helped me beat Steven. But yeah, so I kind of concluded to this list whenever, again, Zan posted the Queen. So I knew that I had to deal with that, and Green Yellow could not deal with that at all. So if they played on 3, it probably would have just lost the game. So I went on Smash to help in the Green Steel list. Yeah.
Interesting.
Super impressive, by the way, for you to just show up with this list you made on your own.
Thank you.
Yeah, because just to point out, Brandon, there's a lot of one-ups. There's a lot of like unique tools and tech cards and things in there. I see Find 'em and Flatten 'em as well for those heavy item lists. But it sounds like that didn't pay off too much or as much as you thought it would.
No. Ink every single game.
Right, but you weren't the only one running it. There was several others too. But no, that is funny.
They're on like binges and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
I think I should have ran that instead because you get to sing songs with that. I think that would be the only change I make to this list.
Okay.
So no, I had an opportunity to talk to your mom yesterday. That sounds you were playing, which by the way, your mom is a complete and utter rock star. I loved seeing her there, just like rooting for you all weekend. She mentioned to me that you used to be a competitive chess player, or still are a competitive chess player, which is so fascinating to me.
So cool.
And so cool. What skills did you bring over from chess? How have you been able to apply your chess background to Lorcana?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that kind of leaned me to Green Steel, because in chess, I like playing the most aggressive openings. So in Green Steel, you can go Diablo, Shift, Morph, Beast. So you get like 2 really, really big characters out on the board, which is really good for you, and it's really aggressive. So that's what came over from chess to help me in Lorcana.
Yeah, the patience of some of these decks is too much. I cannot play Ruby Sapphire because I can't wait. I cannot wait to do stuff. And I'm like, well, I have to wait. How many turns till I start winning?
Exactly. Because you're just sitting there and they're like, popsicle.
Yeah. Okay, let's wait.
That's so amazing. So Derek, what do you kind of see coming out after you played in Hunter Burton this weekend? What do you kind of see shaping out to be the meta in this next couple of weeks? We have some big tournaments coming up.
Yeah. So I feel like this is one of the best lists right now. But I've always loved Green Steel for a long time, so I'm gonna be biased. But yeah, yeah. But yeah, I see this being one of the top decks, and definitely Purple Steel, because Steven showed that power really, really well.
Why do you think that's the case? What is it about this deck that's giving trouble to some of the other decks that we thought would be big in the meta, including like the blue steel list? Is it the hand pressure? Is it is Pete in steel just so devastating? Why do you think this deck performed so well this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this deck performed so well this weekend is because you can play so turn 6 you can play a Pete and an Ursula. And then the double sing Ursula. And then next turn, they can't do anything about it. They can't kill your Ursula. So you play your Prince John, and then you can just win the game because they have no cards in hand, and they're very stuck. Yeah. And yeah, in one game, I was playing against Ruby Sapphire, and they were on 7 ink, so they could have top decked with Be Prepared. Then I played Gontu, which was like, so they have to pay 9 ink for their Be Prepared. So it kind of just shut the game out.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I did see, I mean, the Peats used to great effect this weekend. Not only you using it to protect the Ursula there a few times, but watching Steven, who again we'll talk to later, like protect his genie time and time and time again with that Peat. It also occurs to me, this is just a thought I was having. I was trying to figure out why Green Steel was so dominant, and a lot of people had trouble dealing with the Diablos, and I'm wondering if because Amethyst, where a lot of people were running all these Amethyst clones last meta. It was everywhere. Of course, Ruby-Amethyst has always been everywhere. And Amethyst kind of, the popularity dipped a bit as people moved into Blue Steel, as people were looking at, or I didn't see very many Ruby-Amethyst at all this weekend at Hunter Burton. And so that as genies kind of became, because everybody was playing genies at first, now that they kind of dropped off, the Diablos felt a little extra sticky this time around. And when you have an unchecked Diablo, I mean, you know, you can just run away with the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that this deck got so much better, because Ruby-Amethyst was one of our tougher matchups for Green Steel, like shown in Continentals. It was tough for, I think it was Zan to beat that list. When Ed Chu did it. Yeah, whenever that kind of got out of the meta, I kind of saw that this list would be a lot better.
You do have a question in the chat, Derek. Somebody asking about Beast versus no Beast versions, pros and cons. Do you have any thoughts on, I don't know, on the value of Beast in this list?
Yeah. So most people cut Beast for the new Peat, the 6 cost shift. And I did not like that. I tested it out and I did not like it a lot. I felt it was kind of like, I feel like Beast is just too good in the high roll. Because if you get the Diablo morph into the Beast, I feel like no one can stop it. Because most people are off of Medusas in the red blues. So they can't really get rid of the Beast now. But Coil does make it a little harder sometimes.
Coil makes everything harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any card that makes me math like throughout the game, no, it's really cool. I don't know what other background. Oh, I guess, you know, if anybody has any more questions about the list, you know, feel free to ask. But one thing that we need to ask, I think, before we I just want to make sure we get it in here. A lot of people highlighting, you know, that the youth players this weekend did incredibly well. You know, and you're not the only one. Another player there, Asher, going toe to toe with some big players, actually beating on stream one of the captains of the world class cards, Logan, you know, in front of the world. So, you know, a lot of younger players here stepping up, going toe to toe with some of the biggest names in Lorcana. What is it? I guess a two-part question. What is it like going into a room as a younger player and competing with some of these, you know, established TCG players, these adults? And two, what advice would you have for younger Lorcana players who are thinking about taking their step into highly competitive play?
So whenever I go into the room and I see a lot of adults, me and Ash are really good friends, so we'll normally like be with each other. Yeah, and so whenever I go into the room, I feel like it's a bit of an advantage being younger, because most people are like, "Oh, it's a kid, I can go super fast and just try and win quick," and then I win, and they're like, "Oh, dang!" I know that happened in Seattle one time, because like I won the match like 2-0 pretty fast, and there's like, "Oh, wow." Yeah, and they like were packing their bags up so slowly, and it was really funny. And some advice I'd give to the younger players is don't give up. I've lost a lot of times in tournaments. I always say failure leads to success, and I finally did pretty good in tournament and had the success being shown.
Heck yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, sorry. A lot of Asher fans in the chat as well. I do have to shout him out. He performed very well.
So good, yeah.
Bobby Break pointing out that Asher beat him in the last round. So yeah, as people, especially in the Dallas area, future of Lorcana is bright with a lot of great players.
Mini Bivens. I really like Steven called him that.
Mini Bivens.
My question is,
a lot of Bivens.
we are getting Derek a lot of comparisons to you and Zach Bivens in the chat right now, which is
that's a pretty good compliment.
That's a pretty good compliment.
Yeah. He said that he listens to music before top cuts. I did the same thing and I won round 1.
Wow.
Well,
there you go.
There you go.
So I have a question of what was a highlight for you this weekend? Like if you had one banner moment, or you can have a couple, what was a big takeaway for you?
I think one time whenever I top decked the Storm in the top 8 match, that
I
was
remember that.
that was like that won me the match. That was so awesome. That
I
felt so
remember.
good. And I was like, "Ooh, I might get some really cool prizes."
I remember I walked
remember
by
that.
I walked by the feature match table, and Derek, I only caught you turned to Rob and you were like, "Are the prizes different for top 4 versus top 8?" That was just like the sound blurb I caught as I was walking by, and I was like, you know, man's got his eyes on the prize for sure. I love that.
I love it.
Yeah, I do remember that top deck. If I remember right, you had like one storm and you like chained it into another, or you were drawing into the second one because you needed 2 to do something.
Yeah.
And it was pretty awesome.
100%.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to queue up another slide here while I'm doing this. We do have let me get to another chat question here from Twitch. But by the way, shout out to the Raiders from Twitch. Appreciate you coming over from the other stream, and the Raiders. I'm guessing this came from Wonderland again, with the LCC or
Illumiteer Champion League.
Illumiteer Champion League. Yeah. So thank you all for that. Welcome to the stream. So somebody in Twitch, maybe one of the Raiders, I don't know, asks, can you talk about the Blue Steel opening and the risk of the Diablo opening? How do you approach the choices to commit that much in that matchup?
Okay, so can you show the question one more time?
Yeah.
Talk about the Blue Steel opening and the risk of the Diablo opening. Yeah. So I knew that if I went full in every single time for the Diablo, and I knew it was really risky, but high risk, high reward.
Okay.
So I got rewarded a lot of the times. And the Blue Steel opener, if they get dime off in turn 3, it's just not great. But one time in testing, and I really wish I got to play this off against Blue Steel, like against Zan or something. So I shifted the beast after they got the high roll with the Blue Steel and got the dime. I sang I Find on my platinum to kill the dime, which was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, if anybody has any more questions, I'm just going to pull up. Katie just sent this over. I did some sweet conversions here. Turn this into PDF so I can show it. And we can take a look at this. This was the top 8, so we can kind of see your matchups and the journey there. Katie, thanks for this.
I know. I was like, Canva Premium. It wasn't sponsored, but I was like, I'm gonna get this. But it's an interesting story. I mean, it's funny how the brackets was like, okay, you guys all Blue Steel over here and all green steel over here.
Yeah,
Seems
that's
like
so interesting.
Oh wow, yeah. I just realized that.
Yeah, group them all up.
Yeah, and that's how it's funny because like I know that it's based on pairings and 8th seed, 1st seed, all that thing. It's all codified, but it ends up being funny like this sometimes where you have some of the decks have to fight each other out to get there. And then you just see Steven just driving forward in a straight line, which is pretty impressive. But as you witness, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a very, very interesting top breakdown. Lots of steel and just one Ruby-Amethyst hiding out in the corner. Although that match went on like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that was crazy. I finished my top 4 match, and they were still playing.
2-hour match.
That's impressive, and also so crazy that Aaron still had 2 more matches after that.
Yeah,
and they went so much faster. Yeah, because you were done with your top. You were done with your top 4 match when they were going into they were in the middle of game 2.
Yeah.
Of the top 8 match still. But we had to leave the venue. So 20 Lore was like, we're just going to keep the second we can pair, we're going to pair.
Yeah.
And it was, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I didn't see that the round was over because I'm following from home. I'm in Colorado Springs and I'm like, oh, the round's not over. And they're like, oh no, they've already started playing. I'm like, what? Because they're like, well, we kind of are getting kicked out. So we got to start. We got to play right now.
Yeah, we were some of the last people in the entire convention center.
Yeah.
And for the people wondering, I'm Shan Phelps. My username was like my mom's email, so
I felt bad. That's why the mystery of who's the Lorcanakid. It was the mystery all weekend for me. So
I
put it on.
assumed as much with you playing Steven in top 4. I was like,
I did have to do. I did the search like twice.
I was like, okay,
I don't want to tell
must
Katie
be
the bracket's wrong, but yeah, there it is.
Yeah, okay.
I was fighting for my life with using the Spice Rack versus. I was like, who is the Lorcanakid? Someone please! And finally, I was like, there he is.
So many monikers. I do actually. This is a fun opportunity to bring in our other guest because you all did play each other. But before we do that, since the ICL Raiders came over, Wonderland bringing the stream over, Katie, real quick, can you shout out the ICL for everybody in 30 seconds or less and tell everybody what's that about?
Yes,
they should be following it.
Okay, I'm starting right now. So basically, it's just a way for players all across the nation to play. We play 3 times a week, and they have teams. 3 players face off against 3 players of another team Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's several rounds. So every game counts. You have your scores, and it's going to tabulate who you play in the next round. And it's very, very cool. I mean, it gives you a chance to have a little bit of Lorcana as a treat throughout the week. And we have some of the best players. It's cool because you have players that you're like, oh yeah, you got your Ed Shoes, you got your Zach Bivens, but also you have these teams from all over the place that are just there too. So it's a really cool place to showcase that, any deck can win, any player can win. It's a very cool way to keep Lorcana going while we wait for the next big event.
Love that.
Yeah. So shout out to that. And thank you all for jumping over here after that. We appreciate you all being here. When are we getting Derek and some of the Incredibles on there?
Absolutely.
We gotta finish. We gotta go around the block. Yeah. So we're on round 2. So
there we go. I will definitely get some folks on the wait list. I want to see Derek crushing folks in there.
I know everyone's like, oh, I don't want to play if he's going to be there because I'm going to lose.
But plenty of people saying they want to play Green Steel again. You're inspiring them. So there you go. Brent, Derek, I know we only had you for 30 minutes or so, but I did want to overlap a little bit with our next guest, only because it's super fun. If you look at the bracket, you got to play him in the top 4. So before we say goodbye to you, I thought it'd be fun to bring you on both at the same time. So I'd like to welcome in the winner of the Hunter Burton Memorial Tournament, the 2nd annual Hunter Burton Memorial Tournament. It's Stephen Mejia. Stephen.
Hey,
everybody. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks for being here.
Congrats on the win.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Incredibly impressive. I watched every single one of your matches. I was casting for all of them, and I was like, he's unstoppable. It was truly incredible.
Well, I appreciate it.
That's awesome. I do, we have plenty of questions to ask you about your build and your history and all of that. I do want to get to it. But since we have you both on for a moment at the same time, this is fun because you two, we got to see your match in the top 4. It was a tough contest. I don't know. What was that match like?
For me going in, as you guys pointed out, there was a lot of green steel on my side of the bracket. And I mentioned it to you, Liam, after the tournament that I was doing a lot of testing with my friend Joey on his green steel deck, and I lost almost every single game. So when I saw, the 8th seed, the 4th seed, the 5th seed, all green steel, I knew if I were to get to the finals, it would be a pretty tough route for me. So, and knowing how good Derek is, if I got lucky enough to play him, definitely was not looking forward to the matchup going in.
Because you guys are from the same area.
Yes.
We are. We're both from Fort Worth, and we play at some of the same locals together. So I've played him plenty of times and know how good he is. So it's always a tough contest.
That's amazing. I was going to ask if you had gone head to head before. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So since you're both here and we can get both your perspective, going into this matchup, you're playing another green steel deck, Steven. Derek, you're playing Steven's Amethyst-Steel list, a list that's very similar to lists that we've seen, in the previous meta. Let's start with Derek. What is your game plan going into this matchup against this deck?
Yeah, so I need to get things that can banish things really early. So I was looking for the Shift Diablo into Storm, because all of his 1-drops are one strength, one willpower, and I knew I could storm them pretty easily. And sadly, we didn't get that either game.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I did think we noticed that on stream. Stephen, what about you? Like going in, how do you plan to tackle this, get around the hand pressure that this Emerald-Steel deck is going to put on you?
Yeah, I mean, to start, it's always helpful if he misses his Diablo shift both games. But on game 2, for instance, I know you guys called it out in the commentary that his line is wanting to go turn 1 Diablo into the shift. So I did have a 1-drop in hand in game 2 that I opted not to play out just in case he did have the shift. So just don't give him that kind of card draw option with a storm. But other than that, I got really fortunate to draw into my Peach, just stopping as many of the actions as I can. And kind of as I can control it, whittle my hand down on my terms and draw with docks, and hopefully get to replay Pete. Just all of those things to help me advance my board state, because he has a lot of weak attackers on board, and try to close it out that way by going wide.
That's awesome. I do like the advice. Yeah, just don't give him the target. Keep him stuck with that uninkable in his hand for another turn. So it's a good call there into that line. Any other? So Derek, I know we only had you for a short amount of time. Any other questions from the group for Derek?
Yeah, I have one question for Derek. Obviously, you did really well at this tournament. You've mentioned that you've been playing for a little while. Do you have any plans for the future of Lorcana? Any tournaments coming up or goals or anything?
Yeah, there's this cool Diet Coke tournament happening. I'll probably be going to that one. But yeah, I'll try and go to as many big tournaments I can. The way I got to go to Seattle was I won a tournament and you get a trip to Seattle, a free trip to Seattle.
What?
And I won that one.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll just hop in and say the Diet Coke Invitational is being hosted by one of my teammates, Kirby, who is basically the only lore is that she is obsessed with Diet Coke. And we have a joke on the team that there's just increasing schemes to get her stocked up on Diet Coke. So the entry is a 12-pack of Diet Coke for her, and she created these great custom mats and half Maui Shark cards, as well as providing I think 9 enchanteds for prizing. So it's going to be a really fun event. I know we're already into the wait list because so many people are interested in playing in it. So we'll have a really good time next weekend.
Inspirational.
I have to say, I don't remember if it was in the player meeting or round 1 because I ended up in the same seat. But for one of those, Kirby was sitting next to me, and I didn't realize she was the one organizing the Diet Coke tournament. And they talked about it, and she pulled out those Maui, the custom Maui Shark cards to show me. They look so good. They're so fun. So definitely go out there and play for those if you can.
You got the scoop on me, Brandon. I haven't even seen him in person yet.
Oh, that's fun.
This is so cool. Well, oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear the results of this tournament.
Yeah. I did send some messages back and forth with you all, talk to Kirby, and Kirby said there are plans to stream this. I heard that Remington, another fantastic player in person from Dallas, the runner-up,
in the chat,
who's
right
in the
now.
Chat. And there he is right here.
Yeah.
There he is. And the runner-up of last year's Hunter Burton event lost to Aaron Rubin in the finals. So another fantastic player is doing some commentary. So I know Charlie's collectible show is next.
Be so good.
I know. So I know Charlie's collectible show is next weekend. They'll have a stream up. 20 Lore Pro streaming that. But don't hesitate to pop over and check out the Diet Coke Invitational as well. Some fantastic players there, and bounce back and forth. Watch both. It's gonna be fantastic. So
Yeah.
So it's not invitation. Oh, I don't know. Like, Steven, it's yeah. I mean, you're invited.
Well, you have to have Diet Coke, then you're invited.
Everybody's invited.
Step 1, have Diet Coke.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. This is fun.
Yeah. Derek, I'm so excited to see how you do in this next, DLC season that hopefully we hear about soon. And I can't wait to see you, at Worlds one day, and we all get to sit here and say, we knew him win.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, Derek, thanks so much for joining us. I really want to have you back on the show at some point. So definitely stay in touch. I think it's so awesome to have, younger players who are incredibly talented, who can be an inspiration for other younger players who want to jump into the competitive scene. So, and the way you think about deck building and the meta and the matchups is incredible. So, yeah, great job this weekend. Can't wait to see what you do, and we'd love to have you back on in the future.
Thank you so much for inviting me on here. It's awesome.
Absolutely. We'll
See
do
you
it
later,
again.
Derek.
Thanks,
Bye.
Derek.
Take it easy.
Bye, Derek.
See ya.
All right. I meant it. We got to have him back.
Yeah.
Brandon, we got to have him back.
For sure.
You're back.
Definitely.
I already have a video idea. Okay. Anyway, hi, Steven. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
What an incredible performance. Like, amazing.
Yeah, there are so many. Sorry to interrupt, Katie, but there are just so many good players going into the weekend. I really didn't have too much hope. So I think by every round, I was kind of just like, feels like playing with house money.
How does it feel? You're 24 hours out from the win. I do feel like we finished at about 6 p.m. yesterday. This is, if I remember correctly, this is your first TCG. You're 24 hours out from winning the Hunter Burton Memorial against huge players. Like, has it sunk in? How's that feeling? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, it's been great. There's been so much outpouring of support and congratulations from my team, the DFW community at large, who's just such a great area to play in. So it's been really awesome just seeing all the support.
I do have to, you kind of snuck it into that sentence there. First TCG.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
I may have lied a little bit because I did play Marvel Snap beforehand.
Okay.
But my first paper TCG. But yeah, so I just kind of from Marvel Snap got interested in playing kind of TCGs in paper, and it just happened to be right around when Lorcana was first coming out. And of course, product was impossible to find, so I was kind of just scouring the area for starter decks and whatever else I could. So it's been a really fun, but 1.5 year journey, or however long it's been. Yeah.
Was there anything specific that drew you to Lorcana over any of the other physical TCGs?
I think the theming, I like Disney. I don't probably know as much like Disney trivia and all that as a lot of other people, but grew up in California, so we went to Disneyland a lot, and just have an affinity for the brand and the IPs.
That's awesome. Let's take a look at your list. We talked about it a little bit. We highlighted for people what colors it was, but here it is in all its glory. As I mentioned earlier, it's very similar. Like, there are very few new cards here. We do have the Giant Cobra, but some interesting text. The Maleficent, is that biding her time? Is that her?
Yeah. So that card was really put in the deck for the expectation that there would be a little bit more red blue in the room than there probably ended up being, because that's just a really valuable card. If you're on the play, you can usually quest for 4 to 6 with it before they're able to address it. But yeah, I ended up playing 1 red blue throughout the weekend, and I can't remember if she came in handy or not. But other than that, she was often kind of just sent out there to get a quick 2 quest, or just kind of bait a burn spell out of them before she kind of goes to the discard.
Interesting. I have other questions, but I'll pause for a minute to see if anybody else wants to jump in.
Well, I mean, I'll say so. I watched you in the top 8, top 4, and the finals, and it was really amazing. And I was like, man, this must be like deja vu, because your top 8 and then top 4 were like just the same again. But you were unstoppable. It was like you and 2-0, and it was fun to watch, because it was pretty much you filled up the board with guys, and then they'd pick them off one by one. You're like, okay, I'll do it again and fill up my board with guys. And it was very cool to watch just how resilient this deck can be when you time things right. I think people can look at this deck and go, what? I mean, there's only the most expensive card is 4 cost, but you showed that if you time your resources right, you can do some pretty powerful things. Were there any kind of MVP plays for you in the myriad of Emerald Steel matchups you had?
Yeah, I would say definitely getting the Pete on board and being able to bounce and replay it several times. And I think at one point against Derek, I even top decked a Pete to be able to play that out for maybe a third turn in a row. So stopping him from singing his double discard spells or double damage spells was definitely big. And I will also say being able to out his Ursula singer both times before it got a chance to sing was also really beneficial.
Yeah, poor lady never gets to sing twice.
Brandon, I think that was the game. Were we watching that game where
Yes.
Derek was stuck with 3 sudden chills in hand?
Yeah, I believe that was the game. Yeah.
Yeah. 3
I remember Steven bouncing the Pete like 100 times and then drawing another and playing it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
What's if the first is Pete, the second's repeat, what's the third?
3-Pete.
3-Pete.
We also have the newest one is Shifty Pete. Shifty Pete is the 6-cost Shift Pete is Shifty Pete, just in case you guys are wondering.
Oh, that's another sticker idea. Pete, repeat,
3-Pete.
Shifty Pete. And you beat all of them. And you had one of your own. You had the 3-Pete a few times.
I did. So you can't complain about that.
No.
So we talked before you came on, before Derek came on, about how you consider yourself to be a Ruby-Amethyst refugee.
Definitely so.
Can you talk about the decision to abandon your core?
My beloved. Yeah. So I've played almost exclusively red purple since set 2. And once the bounce package was introduced, I've never sleeved with another deck for a tourney, although I maybe played a couple other decks at locals. But yeah, going into the set as card reveal season was going on, red purple was not really getting too much love with the card reveals. A lot of the dual ink cards were supporting a different game plan, like the mill strategy, which is not so much what we want to be doing with the traditional like mid-range controlled bill. And then also just with the cards that specifically blue was getting it. With being able to cheat out items and things like that, there's not a great way to address items in red purple, and it was just feeling a little too slow for the expected meta. And so going into the set, even before I got my hands on any cards, I was proclaiming to my team that this is finally the time that I'm going to change decks and play purple steel, and nobody was really taking me seriously because I've made similar claims at times in the past, only to come running back to red purple the first chance I get. But yeah, so far first tournament, first week with purple steel, and luckily it paid off.
I will say I get vertigo if I stop playing Amethyst, because you're like, oh, I'll get that card back. And then you're like, oh no, I'm not getting that card back. You play it and it's just there. So switching off Amethyst is hard. You get dizzy. It's not, you gotta give yourself some time.
My one stipulation going into the tournament or playing a deck is I need to play purple cards. I just want to bounce stuff. I want to draw. I want to get my burn. So yeah, you really can't go wrong if you have that core. So purple steel seems like a perfect complement, because I'm so used to getting peated from my Be Prepared and stuff. So now getting to return the favor to other people is definitely fun.
That Pete. Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw like 2 or 3 your stream games, and every time that Pete was just brutal.
You have really bad hat hair right now.
I know. That's why I don't wear hats.
It's so bad.
I don't wear hats.
It's hard. You have to commit to the hat. Brandon and I could attest that if you wear a bucket hat all day,
you're either wearing it all day or you're not wearing one at all.
There we go.
No, don't. No, that is absolutely worse. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry everybody had to see that.
He was called out at dinner for being old. You know,
I will say that Pete has been
called out for dinner.
I'm trying to rescue Liam right now. Anyway, Pete is harder in this meta, because with Ruby, you know exactly. You're like, I'll wait until you got 7 ink, but Pete now it's like now, because I mean, there's so many decks with so many random costed thinkers that I think Pete can be very tricky. You just have to be. I hope this is the right time to do it.
Yeah, you kind of just have to get a feel for the board state and what you think they might play. Something I hadn't considered a lot going into the tournament was just how well the Pete protects the Genie, especially in the blue steel matchup. So I was able to have a genie quest for quite a bit in the finals because I was able to stop any potential Along Came Zeus's from being sung or strengths when they had a wide board. So yeah, definitely a cool synergy that I hadn't expected going in.
That was huge. Because especially in that matchup, and there was another one that we watched where like blue steel has no evasives. So like they only, once the Pete is played, your genie stick, you know it's another 2 lore. And you strung those Petes together, and yeah, watching that was crazy. It was a fun synergy for sure.
Definitely.
Steven, it sounded like you were expecting a lot of Sapphire-Steel for this weekend. So I do want to ask, what about your deck specifically did you change sort of for that anticipation?
Yeah, so the build I ended up at the tournament with was more or less what I had been testing for a few days. Although the day before the tournament, I went down 1 count on my 1-drop Maleficent to add another Benja to play 3, just expecting a lot of blue steel, and even Benja's good to red blue to stop a coil or a pop before the hero can get it. So I think just with the meta, I expected Benja seemed really valuable, and he definitely popped my opponent's items at really valuable times during the weekend.
Yeah. That was fun. So definitely want to talk about your performance, but before we run out of get too close to the end, I thought I would queue up a few other fun decks that we saw this weekend so we could all take a look and talk about them, because there were some fun ones besides the ones that you and Derek brought in. So what have I queued up here? This one.
Yes. Pirates locations. What would you? I don't know.
Can we talk about this? Yeah. I don't know.
I could start. Pirates.
What do y'all think about this deck?
Yeah, I actually played Chase, who piloted this deck in round 4 of Swiss, and hadn't played anything like it before, so it was kind of just flying by the seat of my pants in terms of how to approach it. But definitely once he got his Petes on board in several locations and a John Silver, there was a specific turn where he quested for, I think, 4 with the John Silver, along with several other things on the board that I really wasn't able to kill to banish because of all the resist that the Pete gave him. So it's a really tricky deck to play against once they start getting their pieces on the board. But a really interesting build.
I will say one thing that I don't think we touched on that is very, 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 very impressive is you went the entire day undefeated. I forgot that was like the final match was 2 people who were like, I did not have any losses today. So that is also impressive. Every deck we're showing, no fear. So just know that. I was like, whoa, that's impressive. You walked away, you're like, with an explosion behind you, I assume.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know, this deck, I can't imagine playing those. I feel like the element of surprise can be so valuable in Lorcana, and it's getting worse and worse, or better and better, because it felt like for a while you see the first 3 cards, you're like, all right, I know what I'm doing here. But now you see the first 3 cards, you're like, I think I know, and then you see the next one, and you're like, okay, what is this? And so I imagine there's a few decks like this one where I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. What, John? What are you doing here?
Watching Chase pilot this deck in the top 8, I think it made me really see the potential of this deck and how much it can snowball. Because like kind of like how Steven was saying, like once they get a John Silver out, a couple locations, manage to get a Pete, if that Daisy Duck sticks, like it all just sort of starts compiling to be this like much bigger, difficult thing to take care of, where it's not just like you shoot down the Diablo and like you're good for a couple turns. It's like, no, there's all these pieces you have to dismantle that they've put together.
Yeah, it kind of sneaks up on you. Yeah, because you feel like you have a good handle on the board state, and then all of a sudden they have just things that are questing for a lot with like 4 resist, and it's really hard to address.
Yeah. The way I was thinking about it, you know, as I was watching it crush somebody, was each one of these cards has the ability to get like exponentially better as soon as another piece is played. So there are some threats and there's some cards that seem kind of innocuous, even like the Smee sitting there, you know, in mid game with like 1 or 2 damage on him. If you have a location play, as soon as the Daisy comes down, now Smee's drawing you a card. And so or he has resist if Pete comes down. So each one on its own, you're like, yeah, that's fine. And then 1 or 2 cards gets played, and all of a sudden it's out of control. I did see, Chase draw like 4 cards one turn off the Daisy and a bunch of pirates. Like it. I don't know that it's tier. When it gets going, it's really good. We did see it lose to the discard package. I don't know that it's like tier 1 necessarily. It's very close, but it looks very fun to play. I love it, and certainly it'll catch people by surprise.
Yeah, that Daisy was another interesting card because at first I thought if she quested at a location, it drew a card, but turning out that every pirate that quests at a location is a draw is a really good secondary draw engine to the Diablo package there.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. And that John Silver, a menace.
It is. The first time I played against it in like the release day, they're like, no, he has resist 5 billion. I'm like, okay. All right. Why? All right.
I guess he's here forever.
Yeah. I'll just forget about seeing
you
him.
do you, John.
Yeah.
You do you.
You can stay.
Yeah. The other piece about it is because of the locations and some of the other, high willpower characters that you get early on, what happens is they start dropping locations. You start dealing with the characters a little bit, and before you know it, you have like 19 willpower to deal with on the board because the locations are obviously well statted in the willpower line for their cost. And so you have these innocuous locations that you don't care about for a while because you're dealing with other things. And before you know it, there's just so much damage you have to apply that it becomes dealing with the board state very difficult. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's take a look at 1 or 2 others because we are running short on time. This one,
The Glean.
This one is where the Glean. Yeah, the Glean. Brandon, this is you keep reminding me. This is referred to colloquially as the kiwi bird.
I don't like
Kiwi
that.
bird. Yeah, as far as I understand.
No birds, no kiwi. Just
No, for some reason, when Alice is in the deck, it's kiwi bird. I don't know.
Sometimes it makes perfect sense, like Trinodogs, and sometimes, yeah. So Blue Steel, everybody thought, or the bogeyman really for the last week was the item variant with Oswald. It just got out of control with the item synergy. This is not that list. This is a more mid-range, aggressive list, and yeah, so it's very similar to. It has a similar plan to some of the Emerald or Sapphire-Steel decks we saw in previous metas with that Cogsworth getting established mid-game. You have the Plutos that started to get worked in, Pete. But the big thing is it's not the item package. And so and this is just a reminder, when you look sometimes at the meta breakdown, you can have very, very, very different lists occupying a particular color slot. So in the top 2, for example, we had 2 Blue Steel decks, but they were very different. And I think we actually got to see them compete against each other. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I have one thing that I really liked about this list that, sometimes you see a deck, you're like, I think I get it. But then you watch them play, you're like, oh, and watching them quest with Alice to give Pluto ward and +1. So then Pluto's questing for 2, and then you can't hit Pluto for 2, making him a 1/5, meaning somebody's going to have to challenge that dog and take 5 damage. I saw an Oswald fall on that spear a few times as a sacrificial, take him down, make him a 1/5. And it's just fun making somebody make a really non-favorable trade just because Alice says, no, don't touch that dog.
Yeah, that Alice synergy with the ward definitely makes things hard to play against. And I actually played against Ryan as well. And the Cogsworths were really tricky for my deck in particular because a lot of my characters challenge for 3. And with the Cogsworth on board, it allows him to have really favorable trades with like the Smees and the John Silvers and the Petes, and even the Bells, just because he's able to hit my characters in and have his live still, or vice versa. I'm not able to one-shot either of his characters. So it's a really tricky deck to play against, that's for sure, especially when you're on the draw against this one. It's usually a little too fast to be able to keep up with trying to address everything they're playing out.
Yeah, it's a fun list for sure, but definitely one people should consider. Yeah, McDuck Manners, hate them.
They're so good.
We talked about this last week. Here's the item list with the queen.
There it is.
There it is.
I think
go look it up.
The only difference is cut on Storm and Pete's, right? For 3 queen.
Yeah.
I think 1 Pete, 2 Storm.
For between what was on his like old Metal.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
The Queen was so interesting because that is a card that nobody played because they're like, oh, it's a 3/3. You have to wait a full turn. But she was there and doing a lot of work. At one point, I took a screenshot of it was Zan versus an Amethyst-Steel player. And the Amethyst-Steel player had 5 ink on deck. And Zan had what would be approximately 40 cards on his play mat.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it in the game of Lorcana. But this deck, when it gets out of control, or in control. I mean, Zan was in control. The other player was like, I don't like this anymore. It's crazy. It's a really oppressive deck once it starts firing.
Also, 1 extra Shield of Arendelle. We talked about that last week.
Very valuable.
How important it can be in the mirror.
And for the people at home, why would that shield? What was that VIP purpose?
So the Shield of Arendelle, you can banish it and give one of your characters resist +1 until the start of your next turn. So this is specifically helpful for the small Tamatoa, the 4/5, because when you play out the Tamatoa, it can be Zeused on the next turn and banished, but you want it to survive so that you can play your Lucky Diamonds for free, right? Or whatever items you have in hand. So being able to banish the Shield of Arendelle, give them resist +1, means they can't Zeus it anymore. Makes it even harder for them to get rid of the crab.
Yeah. And who would have thought? That's what, set 2, set 3? I don't remember, but there it is. And people are like, I got this out of storage.
Yep.
Yeah, pulled it out of the bulk box.
The synergy is off the charts with this deck, though, between just banishing items and then getting them right back and then getting them for free and then exerting them. It's just, it's crazy how much the synergy. But we did see a few times where it just didn't work. The rabbit wasn't lucky. The duck wasn't finding anything. The queen wasn't lasting. So it's not always magic, as we saw by
this weekend,
the final match.
Yeah.
I will mention one thing just on that note. Zan mentioned on last week that the Oswald, even when he misses, is giving him information. And so he says, yes, I only hit on it about 1/3 of the time based on the number of items in my deck, maybe a little bit more, but it actually benefits me because I can change the odds of drawing certain cards as I send them to the bottom of my deck. And so it helps him in that regard. Which is
there's that, and there's also the fact that Oswald's your 2-drop character, so it's not really much of an investment to play him, but the upside is just so high if he pulls a workshop or a dime, of course, is always a dream. But you can get so much value playing free cards just from your 2-drop.
He's not much of an investment outside of actually having to buy
him.
Yeah.
For one mortgage payment, you can have him.
This is true.
Especially the sparkly version.
Well, fun finance note. If you look at the foil Oswalds, they're not worth as much as usually the ratio between the normal cards. The normal cards are actually worth a decent amount. And it's because I think there's the top end D23 foil. So as you look at card prices, like when you have an enchanted version that people can chase for their shiny blinged out decks, the normal foils don't get the same premium.
Please don't take financial advice from us.
Do not take financial advice from this channel. I am a guy behind a webcam. Last deck I wanted to show from the top 8, because you're here, Steven, and it's Ruby. This is the only Ruby Sapphire deck cracking the top 8. A little different this set. This deck has been around for a while.
There's your Be Prepared.
Yeah,
I miss it every day.
I don't know.
But do you still need to be prepared in a world where you have sapphire coils and a Sisu? I don't know. Yeah, because now it's like I'll just coil away, and then you can have it be prepared. I'm fine.
That's exactly right. I think the early dominance or attention on the blue steel deck has somewhat kind of masked how strong Sapphire Coil can actually be in the meta, because we obviously haven't seen a lot of red-blue decks perform or play in top cuts yet. But I think as people figure out the deck builds, we'll just see how strong this card is. This card is as strong as everybody was expecting it to be once it was revealed.
It made me a little nauseous when I found out if you have 2 sapphire coils out and you ink twice that turn, you get to do that 4 times. That's so much. The math is crazy. There's too much value. It's too much.
Yeah, it's definitely a very strong card, which I'm interested but not looking forward to seeing how it affects things going forward.
I'm glad that for some reason everyone's like, I don't want to. I'm scared. So hopefully maybe everyone will stay scared all set 7.
Yeah. Anyway. There we go. That I think that was a tour of the top 8, at least some of the different decks. The only other one I will mention that didn't crack the top 8, so I didn't have a link to it and pull it up, but Churnadog, really fun. Look it up.
Google it or don't. Nothing else is
Google
going
it.
to come up. So
There
maybe
were a lot
ask
of
a
those
friend.
at the event.
Trademark Lorekeepers in for that.
I didn't
that
make
name.
it. No. I can't take credit. I just heard it. Maybe Breezy did. Maybe it was always there. Maybe it was inside of us all along.
Maybe it's the best. It's the best name. 20 and someone in 20 lore, I'm sure, says Caroline.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, no, I've come up with some pretty dumb stuff, but that one's too good. That one can't be me.
It's the best version. It's the best descriptor of the deck that I've heard so far for the name.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on. We got a couple things to do. We're gonna move on to our final segment here in a moment. We're gonna do a little trivia. Before we do that, I'm gonna give one last call to everybody. If you haven't signed or entered the GOAT entry, it's still available. We have 27 responses. And I'm gonna put the link one more time in there. Please only enter once, but chance to win a signed GOAT from Lorcana artist Stephanie Shaw.
I'm being optimistic, and I capped my random number generator at 32. So we need at least 5 more for my number generator.
But only enter once.
But only enter once.
We only enter once. We will filter. We'll do it. It's just a pain in the butt. It just takes longer. So, but there you go. And as a note, we're doing this because Stephanie Shaw is currently offering signed GOATs on her website, and one first of 30 sketched GOATs. There's only one left. Comes with a COA saying it's one of her first 30 sketches and a special color, all that jazz. So go check it out on Stephanie's website, stephart.com/GOAT for the GOAT drop. And they come, you don't need to ship them to her. They come straight to you from Canada, shipped. They're already in hand up there. So there you go. Get your signed GOATs. It's a cool thing. All right. And you can even ask for requests when you order them. So there you go. So there's the link in the chat, except if you're on Twitter. That'll take me a minute because I can't post to Twitter from here. All right. With that, let's get into our final segment for the evening. We always ambush our guests with this. So I didn't warn Steven that this was coming. Katie knows.
I know. I'm ready, bracing for this. Like ready any moment.
I don't have your animation.
Wait, you don't have the.
Okay, hold on.
The people demand it.
We haven't had video for like weeks.
And by the people,
oh really?
He means his wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'll sing it.
There it is.
Hello.
Hey, Caroline.
You can't come unless the song happens. Yeah.
Wait, we have
To be fair, it was only last week that I didn't have it.
That is
hasn't
I
been
could have
multiple
sworn
weeks.
it was like multiple weeks.
No.
Wait, we have one more competitor in the green room. Liam.
Yeah, that's true. We decided trivia is a little hard tonight. We're all feeling a little under the weather. It's been a long weekend, so we're gonna bring in some added guns here. Let's bring back Derek.
Now we got this.
The chat demanded it. The chat demanded it.
I also told him that there was going to be trivia, so I'm glad we were able to bring it back. Because
Okay, Derek, Steven, trivia. It's a group game. We all compete
I'll
together.
need it.
We're
I'll
all
need
on
it.
one
Okay.
team.
gonna say co-op.
Caroline's questions are really hard.
We are.
So,
She holds back no
Yeah.
punches.
and then we're gonna
Even
choose
if
an
she says they're
MVP,
easy.
and then they get a trivia pin, which is somewhere around
I
here.
was gonna say you'll
I might
need
show
to
up and take
decide who the MVP is, because only one person per stream gets a trivia pin.
I'm already feeling Derek.
I know.
Katie, do you have a pin yet?
I don't, and I seriously like. I'm gonna wait out. Never mind. I'm not gonna
I don't
threaten
have a
anybody
pin
that
either.
win. Oh my god.
Brandon, but you've won one.
But I don't have one.
But Liam has sent it to you, and
You're
he
in-
didn't bring it to you.
Brandon, you have
again.
one.
Liam.
No.
I thought you showed it on stream before. Oh no.
Well,
No,
we had
no.
we had about
You're hiding shit.
20 in Liam's backpack. All the
I
Well,
know.
I did, and
Now I know to
Buddy.
just when Liam be like, "Oh, I think I just saw. Oh, yeah, run that way," and then I'm like, digging into your bag.
yeah, I have to. Yeah, Mandy said she got most. I have to mail one to Zach Bivens. I have to mail one to Clara Sayre as well. So I'm
right.
a little bit behind. So
Didn't get
Brandon,
you-
Have
We
you
all
mailed
forgive you.
Villain his?
I don't remember. I got him as playmat though. So there's
Okay,
that.
well, I mean,
Um,
You
I'll
can't win
take
them
it.
all.
yeah,
You'll get a
Um,
pin eventually if you
Yeah.
win.
yeah. We'll make it happen. Okay.
Anyway,
Okay,
so
trivia.
the choices for pin are Steven, Derek, Katie. Just so
Well, I
everyone's
think
clear.
we're going to be outclassed. There's one person here. They made their bed today, and it wasn't me. And I don't know if Steven did. No, so I mean, he's already won that.
It's already winning. Yeah.
Yeah, he's already won that.
I am at a bit of a disadvantage though because
I'm gonna
boobs are
start
like already out.
here with a
That's
question
true. I mean, it
that's a
depends on
little
the.
more.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. All right.
I'm gonna start here with a question that's a little more subjective, but it's gonna take a little bit longer.
Oh no.
So there was lots of talk from Derek about how strong and how important Let the Storm Rage On was for your deck. Storm Rage On is one of several cards that is based on the song Let It Go. I want to hear from each of you, what is a card that is based on this song? Because there
Let It
can
Go.
be
Oh my gosh.
Let it go.
There
Space
there
on
can
Let
be
It Go.
arguments made for a lot of them.
You took mine, Katie.
Katie in with the easy answer.
Yeah.
Let It Go.
Isn't there one that's like I could test what I can do or see what I can do?
I have no idea.
I thought there was one like see what I can do. If I sing the whole song, do I get something?
I was just about, so I was like thinking, she's like, I want to hear from you. And I was like, please don't tell me that you're about to ask us all to sing.
I want you all to sing one
Chat.
line from Let It Go.
Chat, help. Okay, let's think.
Is the
Gotta be
card?
on
Did you say a song or just a card?
Any card. Any
With the-
card in the game.
Is the card Freeze based off of it?
So Freeze is interesting. It looks like it is to
Yeah.
start with, but Freeze has her with like a sorcerer's book.
What's the card?
Elsa Size Palace.
So it's Katie's got another one. So that's 2 of the 6 that y'all need.
Okay.
Oh.
6.
It's
I
one
mean,
for each of you.
She made Olaf during that song. So any Olaf is
Is
technically a
Field of
marshmallow.
Ice one?
Sell me on it.
I don't know. I'm just naming Elsa
Have you
cards.
seen the film?
This is a sales
I
push.
I saw the film for about 8 hours on a bus to Branson in 8th grade, and that's the last time I watched it. So
Oh my god. 2013 was in 8th grade for you. I'm so old.
I mean, he just graduated high school. Be nice.
I'm so young. Let's keep pushing
yeah.
that.
Okay. Now here's the thing. People are saying things that are like really because like First Time Forever, different song. Let the Storm Rage On is the one she just talked about.
Marshmallow? Did she make marshmallow during the
She
song?
made Marshmallow. She made Olaf during it. She's like hee 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 hee, and then she makes Sentient Life,
Yeah,
and then
that's
just
true.
keeps dancing.
So what's an Olaf card?
Friendly Snowman.
Olaf.
The 9-drop Olaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that one too.
Wait, it could be that one because he's like getting form.
So
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what is 9-drop Olaf called?
Oh.
Big Olaf.
Big.
Big
ol' Olaf.
I'm notorious for not knowing any cards if they're not in any meta decks, so I'm really struggling here.
I didn't know he existed, so that's not good.
He's the one that rides on Marshmallow.
Oh,
Abominable.
so
Yeah, he like gets reduction for
Olaf and
every
friend.
exerted card in play, I think, or something.
Happy
Olaf and
Passenger.
friend.
I just came up with that. not chat.
Yes.
It wasn't
Happy
chat.
Passenger.
Let's go.
wasn't.
Oh.
You're allowed to use chat. Chat's your life.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's
In that
4.
case,
Ice Palace.
we're checking if
We already
Smash
said Ice
counts.
Palace.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
I mean-
Smash is after he goes get out, which is like
That's my
that
card.
is post song. Katie's correct.
Yeah. This is a hard question. I didn't even
Is
know
there-
this. I didn't even. Well, no, that's all is found. No, I don't think
All is
that.
found. No, that's from the
It's
beginning.
not based on Let It
Yeah.
Go. That is
Yeah.
that is from
Yeah.
Frozen 2.
Fifth Spirit.
Also
is
the
from
Fifth
next
Spirit.
movie. That's the
No.
next movie.
No, that's
Oh.
Frozen 2.
That's Frozen 2.
Yes, if it is Fifth Spirit, that is indeed
Joe
from
is
Frozen
the-
2.
Someone said, "Hey, it's almost Lorcanakid's bedtime, and we
Elsa,
got to get this
you need
together
Snow
for him."
Queen.
We need help on trivia. Not
Spirit of-
yet. Spirit of
I
Winter.
mean, well, no, she has a horse on that one, right?
Snow Queen
Spirit
one.
of
no.
Winter is also from 2.
Oh wait, yeah, the one where she's like doing that. That's like when she's in her dress, right? She's singing in there.
Are we talking? Which one are you talking about?
Spirit of Winter. Someone said that.
I'll take Spirit of Winter.
Okay.
So that's 5. So
Okay.
one more.
Fifth Spirit.
Um,
Fifth Spirit is from the second one for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
I've heard a few people say Smash. Is
Yeah.
Smash one of them?
No, Smash I would say is also from when they're exiting the castle.
Oh wait, no, this is for the
Let
song.
it go.
Dang it.
Because their Spirit of Air or Scepter of Arendelle is like what she touches, and she's like, "I gotta go." So like she has a mentee bee after that.
She does
Well,
have a TP.
I'm trying to think.
The knock, I think that's a
I'm just
different-
cheating at this point and looking at
Yeah, I know.
chat. So
The knock is
Elsa
from number 2,
Queen
though.
Regent.
Yeah, Marshmallow. There's 2 Marshmallow cards though. There's Marshmallow, the terrifying one, and Marshmallow, the like other one. Conceal, don't feel.
Braving the Storm.
Conceal, don't feel. Isn't that a card? Is that a card?
I buy Elsa Queen Regent.
Sure. Okay.
We
You got
got
that
there.
one.
We
You
said
got
it.
that one, Carolyn.
First try.
Good job, guys.
I told you guys this is going to be a little more subjective. I gave you some opportunity for creativity.
First try. Nailed it. All right.
I like when Brandon answered you said, "Sell me." I was like, "Oh, that's not good. That's not good. That's not how Alex Trebek does his show."
Field of
Right.
Ice is an interesting one because it kind of looks like it could be from Let It Go at first, but it's, I think, very much intended to be the finale of the film where they're like all on the big field of ice where they're looking for each other.
Phil, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
The crossover we didn't know we needed, but we absolutely need.
All right, easy one. Next one.
All right.
Right.
Derek advocated for a beast build versus no beast build. How many different versions of beast in Lorcana could go in that build?
oh, we have Sad Boy
Okay.
Beast,
Uh-huh.
The Sad Boy Beast.
The item
there's
breaker
the
beast.
Item breaker.
hard-headed. Yeah.
item breaker. There's the damage taking beast. The like
Yes.
2/6.
I actually ran
There's
one.
Oh,
the-
the Beast
there's the-
Relentless.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
green, yeah, so that's
The
4.
green one.
And then
There's the gargoyle beast.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the one from set 1 that's like werewolf. It's not werewolf, but it's like a weird word. What's it called?
Oh,
yeah,
Wolfsbane.
yeah.
Wolfsbane,
Yeah,
not
Wolfsbane,
werewolf.
yes.
We got
Is
there.
that, is that like the 2/3 little itty bitty one?
No, he's
It's
a
the
No.
legendary.
The rush.
Oh,
The legendary from
Yeah.
set 1.
It like
Emerald.
exerts all damage characters.
selfless.
Oh.
It's the only
There's-
character in Emerald with rush.
That's
It's very
damage.
weird.
There's
Yeah.
also there's a little 2/3 like baby sad steel beast.
Maybe sad beast.
Yeah, there's a little
Is
2/3 beast.
Is that the one? Is that gargoyle? Oh no, that's a different one.
No. Damage 1 beast is a gargoyle beast, right?
Yeah.
Are you looking things up, Liam?
No, I'm
No,
looking at
he's
the chat
not.
though.
Okay.
Dreadful says Forbidding Recluse, which might be the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I swear there's a little 2/3 or very 2/3 beast.
All
Oh,
right.
there's a. Oh yeah, it has resist +1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
remember
have
that.
to know the name though.
No, you don't need to
No,
know
you
the
don't.
name. I'm
No, you
just
don't.
asking for how many.
We're gonna say that one.
Oh.
Seven.
Or-
How many? You're
7.
counting. 7.
The number we said.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yay!
So there's
Yeah.
only 2 different beasts that could not go in an Emerald Steel deck.
The red like
There's
upper
a red-
The
Ruby
the
one.
damage
Yeah,
one.
There's
Yeah.
there's the damage one in Ruby, and then there's the new Ruby Sapphire
Ruby
dual link.
Sapphire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The one that throws his items and turns it into a weapon.
Should
Yeah.
have been
Is
steel,
that
but
what
we won't
smash him
talk
or
about
throw
that.
him?
All
Hates
right.
items. Right.
Steven emphasized the need for Benja to destroy items, but in Raya and the Last Dragon, he's the guardian of an item. What item
Dragon
is
gem.
that? Look at Katie
in the card.
on it. It is.
I gotta
It is
get-
in the card.
I gotta get Derek to bed.
It's a school night.
Dragon Orb, illustrated by Andrew Chabold, a wonderful artist in person.
Dragon gem. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Derek had several one-ofs in his deck, including Gantu. What does Lilo call Gantu all the time in the sequels and series?
Oh, in the sequels? Oh no.
And I'm looking at Katie very specifically because we watched one of these together.
Ham bone. No. Okay. Fish head.
She makes a drawing with this scrawled on it.
I know.
And I really want a card with this as his sub name.
Sometimes I watch a Disney sequel and my brain does this protective thing where it forgets I saw it. Oh, Cranky Head. Yeah, so it was in the.
Cranky
Say it.
head?
Yeah, you
Cranky
got
Head?
it.
I would say that might be
Captain
something
Cranky Head?
she calls him, but
Big Dummy. Oh, that sounds terrible.
it is indeed Big Dummy.
Big Dummy. Oh my god. This is a family show. I'm not saying that. Oh my goodness.
It is
Lilo.
Big Dummy. And she writes it Dumme.
He did
Oh,
kidnap
that's
her
so
several
funny.
times. I mean,
Except
he
for-
did.
Yeah, he was pretty mean.
Yeah, and he's not a villain, by the way. In the game Lorcana,
Yeah.
he's not a villain, and Lawrence is an ally. So let's all let that process.
Wild.
He's like everything. He's like a pirate, captain, alien. It's a lot of things for Gantu.
Which makes him the
Which
best.
makes him awesome. Every version of Gantu. The Gantu
Speaking
meta
of, completely
reign.
unrelated, if you haven't seen the Illumiteers' latest reel, you should go watch it.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah. shout out
Brandon
to-
makes a guest appearance in the reel.
That
I
is
do.
true. Shout out to Sophie. I'm guessing that's ATX. So from
Hey,
so
Dollar ATX.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
your last question here. Lots of folks excited about Emerald-Steel Pirates, which features the 2 new Pete cards. Name one of the 2 cartoons that has featured a canonical version of either pirate or space pirate Pete.
We just watched this. Oh
Hold
my
on,
gosh,
go,
Mickey
go,
Mouse
go.
Clubhouse! Literally 30 minutes ago.
No way!
Right before we went live. Sorry, I'm so excited. Right before
Turning
we
down the
went
volume.
live, we were watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with Olena right before she went to bed, and Pirate Pete showed up, and I was like, "Oh my god, look at this Pirate Pete!"
Space pirate Pete.
I'm
Miracles
so excited.
happen,
I'm
folks,
so
and you
sorry,
saw it
y'all.
here
I was
tonight.
so excited earlier tonight.
the
The fact
happiness
that this is a
Disney
trivia
brings.
question. I'm so happy. Okay, somebody else take the second one.
Steamboat Willie.
Oh, I was only asking for one
Okay.
of the
For
2,
one.
but
Oh,
He was
the oth-
on a boat in Steamboat Willie.
the other one is DuckTales.
oh, okay.
That
I
makes
wouldn't have
sense,
got
I
that.
guess.
All right.
They actually do like some time travel nonsense in DuckTales, and they go back to like 1687 during the actual age of pirates.
Oh,
And Pete,
that makes sense.
Pete
It
is
doesn't yeah,
pirate.
makes sense, but
I got so excited. I made Liam rewind it so that I could film him showing up, going, "I'm Pirate Pete," and
wow.
so sorry. I
Amazing.
got very
What a miracle
excited
a miracle today.
that this was the trivia question. I'm
This
so
is,
sorry, everybody.
This is your
Googly
Slumdog
Glimmers over
Millionaire,
here with Olena. Sure.
Yeah.
right?
She was in the other room and you're watching it like, wow, Pete.
Yeah. Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire moment.
Yes,
here.
exactly.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It was meant to be.
Hmm.
All right. Who's
All
our
right.
who's our MVP?
Who's our MVP?
I think Derek is. No, I mean Derek got that 7. We weren't counting.
I'd
He
say
said
Derek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said 7, stone cold. Like we were not counting.
I was
at
gonna say
all.
that's that chess brain at work.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
like, huh?
That's fair. And I neglected to give Derek an Illumiteer sticker this weekend too, so I have to mail him something anyway. So
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Yay!
Trivia pin
Thank
coming
you.
at you, Derek.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
so that everybody knows, if you join the Illumiteers Discord, which I'm sure the link is going to be somewhere in the show notes if it's not already, we will be restarting our monthly trivia starting in the month of April once I finally
Ooh.
complete my move to another state. So please join us in there, and we will have monthly trivia pin winners in there again very soon.
Thank
Either-
you.
You either earn them on the show, one a week, or in the Discord. And there's only 150, so they're rarer than a golden Mickey. I'm just saying.
It is.
Don't take your financial advice from me. I'm just a guy with a webcam. All right. Well, thanks so much for participating in trivia, guests and chat. And Caroline, thanks for some amazing questions as always. And as I regain hearing in my left ear, we're getting ready. One more thing to do. We have to do the goat drawing. Before I do that, I just want to, I did this in the credits up front, but thanks to the patrons who helped bring this show to life. It actually costs money, all these subscriptions and stuff. So thanks to all of you who support the show. As some of you are watching, really appreciate you. Patreon link is in the show notes. We don't paywall any content. It's just a way to support what we're already doing. So there we go. I've been told I'm really bad at my Patreon pitch, so I'm working on it.
Yeah, you have a little
Proud
guilt
of
as
you,
you do
Liam.
it. You're like, you can support us. You don't have to. Don't worry about it. But if
It's
you want to,
100%. Like, please, you can support us. Please
I'm
don't.
sorry, but
It
thank
makes me feel
you.
bad. So yeah, but there it is. All right, I tried. There we go.
It's better than last week. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, you had more
Baby
confidence.
steps. Baby steps. All right, so let's do this giveaway thing. Sign goat, courtesy of Stephanie Shaw. Go to our website, order some goats. We have
Thanks, y'all. I had to update my random number generator.
Look at that.
We've got 41.
41 folks.
42 would be a more magical number, but it's okay. We can.
It's
Quick
42
someone.
rows on the spreadsheet. If that
That's okay. Then we're
makes
good.
it better. All
Are you
right.
ready?
No, I've got to. I like to do show people what we pulled, and I got to make sure I don't show people's information here. So,
Die.
That's when Liam
Very
got
important.
Okay,
41.
everybody stall, please. Wait, can I just
Oh,
you're-
I can
yeah, you're
solve.
driving
We're
me-
talking about goats. What about the greatest goat? A birthday goat. Whose
Oh,
birthday
yeah.
is it?
True.
Yeah, it's Bivens' birthday.
Bivens'
Zach
Oh, it's Vivian's
Bivens.
Zach
birthday.
Bivens'
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
he's
birthday,
birthday 3.
Bivens.
We can't believe it.
I don't know if he's here tonight. He usually is lurking in the chat somewhere.
Bivens was
He
with
might
all
be
of us
spending
always.
time
It's
with
username.
his family.
Vivian's the goat.
Yeah, I heard goat and I was like, birthday goat? But so,
Birthday
yeah.
goat.
St.
Wait,
Patrick's
hold on,
Day, Bivens.
Is that
He's
the
probably
one?
partying hard, you know.
Yeah.
You know Bivens.
Tag
Yeah,
him.
you know him.
Let's do
He's
this.
wild.
There's 300. There's close to 300 people watching right now. If just half of you went on social media right now and tagged Zach Bivens happy birthday, it would blow up his social media and be a ton of fun. To do that.
Yeah, take him away from his mental game of
Oh.
Lorcana on the ceiling, and he'll go, "What's this?" My birthday.
Zach's
Right.
phone just starts going crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right. So okay, so we have a spreadsheet over here with all of our entries. We're gonna show you who comes up, and we're gonna show you who Aaron pulls on her phone. Aaron, what's the rule? How do you do this? You hit it 3 times. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
I was like, I don't know. I hit the button and it
You
pulls
hit-
the people.
Yeah, you hit it 3 times.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
Now,
cool.
remember, because it's Excel, you have to add one to
Add
the
one to the
number.
row, yeah.
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 Okay,
So
there we
add
go.
one.
Ready? And 1.
Bum, bada, bum.
And 2. And 3. 26, which is row 27.
Row 27. Who's row 27?
That was so
Congrats,
scary
row
and fun.
27.
Row 27 is Zane.
Zane?
Zane Gray.
Zane Gray, that's a Team Infinity member.
Really?
It sure is.
Wow.
Is he here?
Zane Gray, are you here? We said people had to be present to win, so we'll
They
give you
do,
a
so
few
he has to
seconds
speak up.
Yeah, give you a few seconds to.
So
to-
with that, while we're wrapping up,
Yeah.
Stephen, where can people follow your Lorcana journey?
They can find our team's Instagram at the.incredibles with the K, as you can see in my name here. We'll be posting more content going forward, and I don't have any personal pages, but yeah, everything will be on our team page.
Awesome. And Derek, where can people follow your Lorcana journey?
So I'm on YouTube as the Lorcanakid on Pixelborn, and on Twitter, I just made a new Twitter account. It's Lorcanakid.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Sorry, I'm
Whoa,
Wow.
no, we've
Yeah,
never used
I'm
this
having
before.
trouble here. Like this.
Wow.
I like this.
Here,
Hold on, keep it.
Yeah. All right. This is good. All right.
We're still waiting for Zane.
This scene exists now.
Well,
Somebody
his
tag Zane.
team's there.
He said
People are
he
like,
said I won. He said
did?
I
Oh, wait,
saw him.
he did?
He said I won. Zane Gray.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Oh,
He
there
says
he
I
is.
won.
Zane
He
Gray.
did no
I
fanfare or
won.
anything.
With
I
all
won.
the excitement. All right, Zane, we have your email address on the entry form, so we'll reach out to you. I think we do. It's blacked out right now, but I assume it's there. So we'll reach out to you, get your mailing address, pass along to Stephanie, and you'll get a signed goat in the mail. So there we go.
Oh wow.
Congratulations, Zane.
All right.
Congrats.
Well, with that, fun show, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us, all of our guests. I think I've hit all the notes. Just to summarize, watch next weekend, watch the Diet Coke Invitational. A bunch of our guests will be participating there. Go to Stephanie's website, order some goats, and follow all of our amazing guests. Katie, any closing thoughts? Thanks for hanging out with us this episode.
Olive.
Yeah, Olive came here because she's like, you guys didn't ask me any questions. But yeah, you can find me on the Lorcanakid on YouTube and on the ICL Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then also, just around. And also, I'll be casting the Charlie's Collectible Showcase on this weekend. I'll be sitting in the
Nice.
room, but we might get a friend to help me so I can go to the bathroom and eat food.
That's
That would be
important.
good.
Yeah, that's
That would be important.
I know. I was locked in. I didn't want to miss it. It was too fun. But yeah, I'll be doing that. And but now I'm kind of like, I want to go to the Diet Coke Invitational. There's no.
You should.
Yeah.
I know.
Drink some Diet Coke.
Drink some Diet Coke. Aaron, what did we miss before?
I don't think anything.
Covered a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Brandon,
Hi.
so good hang. Yeah, so good hanging with you 2 days in a row. We covered pretty much everything. I think. What do we
Yeah,
miss?
for the show. There's some other I'll shout out Ink Decks real quick because there were a couple other tournaments that happened this weekend that we didn't cover this week, but I pretty much get all of my tournament coverage information from inkdecks.com, I think. Yes, inkdecks.com. So you can go there. They do a really great job at compiling a lot of the relevant Lorcana tournaments and getting deck lists and things like that. So if you're interested in that, go over there and look at the other tournaments that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, plenty of awesome ones. And I will shout out Brandon again over on Blue Sky, trying to build a community over there. The link is in the show notes. You can follow Brandon there. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for a great show. We're here every Monday night at 8 o'clock. We'll see you next week here. Like, follow, subscribe, do